I never take out the tablet except at coffee shops and such. So I'm just wandering around on this beautiful afternoon against my better instincts, actually, because I was getting some good work done at the desk, but the weather's not going to be like this much longer. I'm looking at the Civil War Memorial, or the Veterans Memorial, or the Soldiers Monument, or it goes by a variety of names. This was my first real find out here. I discovered it with my friend Joe, who called last week to remind me that it was his 20th wedding anniversary, which was good for a laugh because his marriage lasted about 10 minutes, or 9 months, I think, to be exact. He's always said it was the biggest mistake he ever made, and he warns me not to do it. This is section 4, which is an older section. But as you can see, they've carved out some rows for new spaces. Off in the distance, of course, is the Kosciuszko, which, if you go over here, you see the crane and a couple of pillars to either side of it. That's the new Kosciuszko, which is pretty cool to see up close. If you walk through that passageway, there you see 4 other pillars, which are part of the new span. The Soldiers Monument still is interesting to me because, Civil War memorials like this, there must be thousands of them now, but this was one of the first. And it was always curious to me why the soldiers that were buried there were unnamed. A few years ago, I wrote to the New York Times. They had a thing where they were just taking any questions for, I don't remember his name, but he was the head of the Parks Department. And I asked him just any background he had on that Soldiers Monument and why it remains so derelict. They started renovating it a number of years ago, and they got as far as repainting just one of these life-size statues, but the other 3 are still showing signs of all that erosion from a chemical factory that used to be nearby. I don't think you can blame it entirely on the chemical factory, but just the natural elements would take their toll on these things anyway. But a lot of what used to be here is gone. There used to be a brass eagle on this pillar and on all 4 corners of the fence. And take a look at this guy, and you see he looks like he's been out in the elements for 150 years. But this guy has a relatively fresh coat of paint. The Axe Man. And he also has his axe. Whereas this fellow was supposed to be standing on supposed to be holding up a musket. I believe it was a musket. But that was stolen. This plaque on this side was stolen, probably for scrap. The crosses up here are all gone. And this fellow was also holding something. Might have been another musket or something like it. You can see where his hand would be holding it. And this little hole here is where that object would have rested. And I believe this guy was holding something too. This is my favorite one. It's such a expressive face. He looks sort of melancholy. And like I say, I think he was holding something in his hand, but it's gone now. And there you can see the crosses on this side were stolen too. And the only thing keeping those stars up there is their inaccessibility. Same goes for the statue on top. I should have refreshed my memory on this thing before making this recording, but I wasn't actually planning to talk at any length. I just wanted to capture a few seconds of video for the .mobi. And there's the name on the base is D. Draddy. That's Daniel Draddy. And the Draddy brothers operated a foundry. I think it was over on West 23rd Street in Manhattan. And I think at one point they had an operation across the street or in the vicinity of these grounds. It wasn't actually, according to some sources, Daniel Draddy didn't actually build this, but he was the father of the business, so his name went on it. I believe it was his son, whose name escapes me at the moment. His son is actually credited with building this whole thing. So, the Draddys are all over the cemetery, not as much as other funerary art companies, but they have an impressive number of markers around. A lot of them don't bear their name because they were actually big into marble, and marble was the material of choice for the wealthy who got buried out here. And marble, as we now know, does not weather the elements very well at all.